We see that the Bible is rooted in history. It's rooted in history. The verses right after this, as they're leaving the temple, Jesus and his disciples are leaving the temple, and the temple is booming in that point in time. It is beautiful. There's historical evidence. There's like letters who are written. They were not even from believers or not even from Jews. They wrote about Jerusalem. They wrote about the temple. They said that Jerusalem was the most famous city by far in that age. They said that the temple in Jerusalem was spectacular and large like no other. And these people weren't even Jewish. They have no reason to write that. It's just an observation of the truth. And as Jesus and his disciples are leaving the temple area on that day, the disciples start pulling Jesus' arm a little bit, and they're like, look at all these majestic buildings, Jesus. Look at this amazing temple, Jesus. Jesus leaves the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to those marvelous buildings. And in verse 2 it says, do you see all these things? Jesus asked them. Truly I tell you, not one stone will be left here upon another. Every single one of them will be thrown down. Then in the moment, I'm sure the disciples had no idea what he was talking about. But Jesus goes to his cross, and it's not many years later. This is straight up prophecy right here. Not many years later, after Jesus goes to his cross, that Jerusalem is completely destroyed. It's completely destroyed. Jesus goes to his cross a couple decades later. Jerusalem is absolutely razed to the ground. And we still have archaeological stuff. It just exists. We take this stuff for granted. Jesus prophesied about the desolation of Jerusalem to come. It happens just a few decades after his death. This is the Arch of Titus. I've shown this before. This was built in like 80 AD, 10 years after Jerusalem was destroyed to the ground by the Roman general Titus. Destroyed to the ground. This was like the victory archway. And they had this huge parade, and they paraded in all of the captives from Jerusalem, when it was destroyed, like hundreds of them, in this line of captives with the victorious Roman army. And they had all of their stuff, a bunch of stuff from their temple, and they brought it all the way from conquered and destroyed Jerusalem, all the way back to Rome, where that thing still stands to this day. You can see on the inside of this, you can see the inscription here. Can we show the next one? It may be hard to see, but there is a menorah right there being carried by a bunch of people. This was created in 80 AD. This is like 10 years after this happened. The menorah was what we know was actually in the temple at the time. They ransacked the temple, destroyed the whole place, and brought it back to Rome in a victory parade. And the proof still literally exists right there, standing there plain as day. Plain as day. And I've shown it before. I've shown that before. Many of you maybe have heard of this before. The Arch of Titus, that's in Rome, but that is way less famous than the next thing I'm going to show you. You've definitely heard of this next thing that I'm going to show you. For sure, because it's the Roman Colosseum. And an interesting fact about the Roman Colosseum that you may know or you may not know is that there was an inscription that was found in the Roman Colosseum. And it explains where the money came from for when the Colosseum was created around the same exact time as the arch was created, like 80 AD. And it actually says, there's an inscription. You can go to the wiki, you can look this up yourself, you can see this thing. It says that the construction of this Colosseum was funded by the spoils taken from the Jewish temple after the destruction of Jerusalem. The Emperor Vespasian, I'm just going to read it. The Emperor Vespasian ordered the new amphitheater to be erected from his general's share of the booty from the destruction of Jerusalem. And the funny thing is that these two monuments, the Arch of Titus and the Colosseum, they're literally right next to each other. They're right next to each other because this stuff happened during the time shortly after Jesus went to the cross. And it was foretold by Jesus on the cross that I have come to you so many times. I've sent my prophets, I've sent my people, messengers to you, that you would just turn back to me, but you wouldn't. And now your house will be left to you desolate. Not one stone on another. And that magnificent temple, all of those buildings, they razed them to the ground intentionally. The Romans did. They left not one stone on the other because they wanted a complete destruction of this place so that rebellion could never rise again, in their opinion, from Jerusalem. They completely destroyed it. And the proof is literally still standing to this day, still before our eyes. We take it for granted all the time. The Colosseum, it's a great place to go. The Colosseum was built from the spoils of the war that destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. It's all right there.